The first thing you remember is the sound of hooves on frozen dirt. Not the samurai. Not the armor. Not the sword. Just the horse. Old, gentle, patient. A creature you groomed with hands that shook from hunger. You were 12 when the samurai took you into his household, not as a son. Not as a student, but as a shadow. A stable hand. A quiet pair of feet meant to follow behind him until commanded otherwise. Your world was made of chores. Clean the armor. Wash the blood. Heat the water. Mend the saddle. Stitch the boots. Bow on command. Honor belongs to samurai, not boys like you. Your job was to carry burdens they did not want to see. But everything changed the morning. War drums echoed from the mountains, slow, deep, ancient. A sound that promised blood. The samurai Lord Ishida mounted his horse. He did not look back at you. Shadow, he said coldly. Walk. And like a ghost tied to his footsteps, you followed him into war. Snow fell like silent ash across the mountain road. The soldiers marched in iron rows, their breaths forming white plumes. You walked behind Lord Ishida, holding his spare bow, his food pouch, his water flask, and the old horse's reins. The world was cold, the kind of cold that sinks into bones. Your sandals were thin. The frozen mud bit your feet with every step. Samurai talked of glory. You talked to no one. Your eyes stayed low, watching footprints, watching the earth, watching your own breath disappear. But as the wind screamed through the trees, you realized something. The samurai were afraid. Their armor rattled too loudly. Their jokes felt forced. Their eyes never left the road ahead. And Lord Ishida, stoic, ruthless, unbreakable, kept one hand on his sword the entire time. You whispered to the horse as you walked. It's just us, you said. We survive. Like always. The animal nudged your shoulder. A moment of warmth in a world of steel. You reached the abandoned village at dusk. Houses dark. Doors broken. Rice stores empty. Lord Ishida rode ahead, scanning everything with eyes sharp as steel. You fed the horse first, because you always fed the horse first. Then yourself. A handful of cold rice, hard as pebbles. Soldiers rummaged through the ruins. Some prayed. Some stole. Some slept on bare floors. But you wandered behind the old shrine. There you found a child's sandals, left neatly at the door, and a broken wooden toy. You picked it up carefully, a reminder that war swallows even the small. The innocent, the forgotten. When Ishida approached, he didn't ask why you were shaking. Shadow, he said, remove my armor. You obeyed. Piece by piece, metal fell away from him. You cleaned the dust, oiled the plates, rewrapped the silk cords. And for a moment, as the candle flickered between you two, you wondered whether he remembered your name. He didn't. He never did. You were a shadow. Nothing more. The attack came at dawn. Arrows screamed from the tree line. Soldiers dropped before they could even shout. Lord Ishida leaped to his feet, drawing his blade in one smooth motion. Shadow! Stay close. You grabbed the horse's reins and dove behind a fallen cart as chaos erupted. Men shouting, steel clashing, arrows cracking into wood. Ishida cut down one enemy, then another, each strike cold and precise. But you were not a warrior. Your hands shook so violently that the reins slipped. The horse bolted. No, wait. You cried, but the world didn't wait. A bandit lunged at you, eyes wild, knife raised. You froze. Just as the blade reached your throat. Ishida's sword pierced the attacker's back. His voice was a growl. Shadows do not die without permission. He grabbed your wrist so tightly it bruised. Move, now. You stumbled after him, heart hammering like a trapped bird. And in that moment, you understood. Your life was tied to his dot if he fell. You vanished with him. The battle ended with smoke rising from the village. Bodies everywhere, friend, foe, nameless. Ishida stumbled, gripping his side. Blood seeped through his armor. My lord, you're hurt. He waved you off. A scratch. See to the horse. But it wasn't a scratch. You saw the wound when you removed his armor. It was deep dark blood trailing down his ribs. You boiled water. He hissed when the cloth touched his skin. Do not look so shaken, he said. A shadow should not tremble. But you did. Your hands trembled as you cleaned the wound, as you wrapped it, as you whispered apologies under your breath. Then something happened that made you pause. Ishida gently touched your wrist. Shadow. You did well today. Your throat tightened. It was not affection. Not kindness. But it was recognition. For the first time, you felt seen. Days passed. The army marched deeper into enemy territory. Food ran thin. Then ran out. 1 bowl of rice for 10 men. Half a cup of water for 20. Soldiers collapsed from hunger. Some deserted. Some died quietly under trees. You watched Ishida grow pale. The wound reopening with each mile. At night, you secretly gave him half of your ration. You placed the rice in his hand without a word. He didn't ask where it came from. He didn't refuse. He simply ate and lived. The horse nudged your shoulder again, as if saying, you carry all of us. Maybe you did. Snow began to fall again, heavier than before. The army splintered. Small groups wandered off. In the midst of this misery, Lord Ishida's most trusted lieutenant, Masanori, confronted him. My lord, he said, we follow a dying man. This campaign is lost. Ishida's eyes burned. You dare. I dare survive, Masanori hissed. Steel flashed. The two clashed in the snow. A slow, brutal duel of exhaustion and resentment. You watched in horror. Your breath froze in your chest. Masanori struck Ishida across the shoulder. Ishida dropped to one knee. You ran forward. Stop. Masanori turned, raising his blade toward you. A stable boy. Powerless. Standing between two warriors. But your voice did not shake. Kill him, you said. And you die alone in the snow. For one long moment. No one breathed. Then Masanori lowered his sword and walked away. Ishida collapsed into your arms. Shadow. He whispered. Why? Because he saved you. Because you owed him. Because you were all he had left. But you said only, I walk where you walk. You reached the abandoned fortress after 7 days of wandering. No soldiers. No banners. No food. Just walls cracked by time and winds filled with ghosts. You sheltered Ishida inside a ruined watchtower. You built fires. Boiled snow. Stole dried leaves from old storage rooms. You hunted birds with traps made of rope and broken arrows. You washed his wound daily. Wrapped it with torn clothing. Fed him every scrap you found. Ishida grew thinner, weaker. But he watched you work tirelessly. You are more loyal than a son, he murmured one night. You didn't answer. Your tears fell quietly onto the stone floor. At dawn, you saw them. Enemy scouts. 3 of them, climbing the ridge toward the fortress. You froze. Ishida could barely stand. You could barely lift a sword, but survival leaves no room for fear. You helped him to his feet. He steadied himself on your shoulder. We face them, he said. No, you whispered. I face them. He stared at you, truly stared, as if seeing you for the first time. Shadow? You owe me nothing. But you shook your head. You gave me purpose. Silence. Then he nodded, once slow, solemn. You picked up his sword. It was heavy. But you carried it the way you had carried him. The scouts approached. You stepped out into the snow. The scouts laughed when they saw you. A boy? They send a boy? They circled you. Your hands shook. Your feet slipped on the ice, but you did not run. Ishida's voice echoed from behind you. Stand like a samurai. You raised the blade. The first scalp lunged. You parried clumsily, the force sending you sliding back. The second struck. You dodged. Barely. Pain tore across your arm. But then something changed inside you. Fear burned away, replaced by something quiet, steady. Unmoving, you stepped forward. Steel met steel. You blocked a strike. Then another. Then another. When one scout slipped. You struck, not to kill, but to end the fight. He fell. The others ran. You stood in the snow, chest heaving, blade trembling in your hands. Ishida watched with eyes full of something you had never seen in him before Cologne Pride. Spring arrived slowly. The snow melted. The world softened. Ishida grew stronger. He could walk without your help. He could lift his sword again. But the war was over. The army gone. The banners fallen. All that remained were the two of you. One morning, Ishida saddled his horse. He looked taller, calmer, older. Shadow, he said softly, the world will not remember me. He placed his hand on your shoulder. But it will remember you. You swallowed hard. What am I now? His answer was simple. Not a shadow. A man who walked through war and never lost his heart. You took your place beside him, not behind. The road stretched into the mountains, quiet, beautiful. Yours. And together. You walked toward the kind of life men die, hoping to find. In history books. Samurai names are written in ink. Stable boys are not. But some stories survive not in scrolls, but in the people who lived them. You were once a shadow, silent, forgotten, invisible. Not anymore. You became the light that guided a broken man through war. You became the loyalty that outlived armies. You became the courage that rose from footsteps meant to be ignored. You became your own story.